And welcome back to Studio Q. It's Q for Christmas at the moment, really, because we're back. We're here with the part one of our 2006 Christmas extravaganza, and we've got all the crew here. How are you, chaps?
All rightish.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Now, last week we did a little bit of. I've got important news. This is the thing. Last week we announced the little membership competition we had with a chance to win number 96 on DVD. And my God, we had a flood of responses. I think it's a record.
As bad as Indonesia?
No, better than when we did the incontinence story, but we won't go into that. There was a flood of calls within the first couple of minutes, but I did say the first three people through, and the first three were Aline from, I'm not sure where, she only left a mobile number. We have Barbara from Brighton North.
Let's give out her number to the public,
yeah, let's do that, shall we? And we have Philip from Paran East. So Aline, Barbara from Brighton North, and Philip from Paran East. Congratulations, and thank you for your support. Hopefully by now you will be, or just about to be, members of our illustrious organisation, and you'll be getting a number 96 DVD in your mailbox very soon. And hopefully
cheap
that'll be
half the price.
Oh yeah, and that'll be nice Christmas viewing for you, I hope. What have we got coming up today? Mark, we're looking at some Christmas stuff in Q Focus with you. You and Doug.
Yeah, we put together a Christmas Q Focus. So
have you
focusing on
Christmas?
Oh, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed doing Q Focus this year?
Yeah, it's been good to do something regular and something where you can get the interaction from a couple of other people. So, and also what we're looking for as well is responses from the public, whether they like what we're presenting or even to let us know if there's something they want us to cover.
So if so, drop you a line.
That's right.
That's it.
Which is?
feedback@bentv.org.au.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Hey, you got tinsel on your cheek. Doesn't he look gorgeous?
Oh, he's glittering.
That's left over from last night, ladies and gentlemen. I think he went to the market.
We're not going into that. So stay tuned for that. Later on, we'll have part one of a very special chat with Rob Astbury, who was controversial recently for releasing a tell-all book about his life with Graham Kennedy.
I think he should get an award for that one, really. I think
Do
it's
you?
a great interview, yeah.
Well,
Truly, I'm serious.
But, well, there are a lot more strings to his bow. We want you to know that, so that's why we're chatting to him. Well, look, have a Merry Christmas and stay tuned to Studio Q for lots more good stuff. And thanks, everybody, for helping out your involvement this year. Yeah, it's been a great team. And,
We'll see you next year.
Thank you to Lynn, floor manager extraordinaire. Lynn, come here. There she is.
She tells us when to stop and go.
And you'll see her first hurrah on camera in January with the World AIDS Day concert, hopefully. Oh, yeah. So take care, we'll see you soon. And we'll be back right after the break with Mark and team on Q Focus. Bye.
Hi, we're back with you on Q Focus. I'm Mark, and joining me again today is Doug Pollard, editor of Melbourne Star. Welcome back. And we have a new person with us today, Cathy Anderson, editor of B News.
Hi
Welcome,
guys,
Cathy.
thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem at all.
Now today we're going to be talking about Christmas and what it means to our community, how we celebrate, and then we're going to talk about how it's basically not the joyous time that most of us would imagine. Doug?
Well, I don't want to sound too gloomy, but basically, you know, it's a family time, and it's when we get this whole family thing thrown at us in bucket loads about, you know, be with your family, be with your parents, be with your children, all the rest of it. Now, we are slowly getting to the situation in the gay community where we've got children of our own, quite a lot of couples do.
Okay.
And of course, we've all got parents to go home to, a lot of us still. That can be fraught with difficulty. I once took my partner home to visit my parents and relatives in the north of England and my grandmother was still alive, grandmother and aunt and great aunt and all the rest of them, and they were very welcome, but it made it kind of awkward at times. So we don't do that anymore. Do you, Cathy?
Well, my Christmas is a little bit more, it's separated. My girlfriend and I don't spend Christmas together, but our families are in different states too, so logistically it's a bit of a problem. But I think, you know, a lot of families do actually get everybody together, so they have both parents come together, but I don't know that would kind of work for me. But we tend to just do our own separate things and have a Christmas early. But you're right, there is that expectation that on Christmas Day you must all get together. Everyone has to, you know, bring presents, be merry, you know, slap each other on the back, and we're all happy and joyous. And for some, you know, there may be some strain through the coming out process, or you know, some relatives aren't as open to you being gay or having your partner there. It's a big hurdle. So yeah, it can be a bit of a stressful time. Definitely.
And what about the people who've been completely rejected by their families because they're gay? I mean, I've got some research I got from Bristol University in the UK, you know, that gay teenagers are 2 or 3 more times likely to attempt suicide than straight teenagers, for example. That's just kind of year round, but there does tend to be a suicide peak around Christmas, not just for gay people, but for heterosexuals too. So, I mean, how do people cope with Christmas if they don't go home to their families?
Well, I guess there's that whole idea of the extended family, isn't there? I mean, you were saying, Mark, earlier that you don't spend Christmas with your family.
Yeah, well, we have sort of like our own adopted family where for about 10 years a group of us hire a different house each year in Daylesford. We all meet up there, we all do the Christmas lunch thing, and that's like our family. You know, we still do, well, I still do the family Christmas with my family, but that's, you know, a week or 2 before Christmas. So we still we still do it.
Clayton's Christmas.
Yeah, and someone still plays Santa, and then we swap presents and do all of that sort of stuff. But we don't do it Christmas Day because everybody's off doing their own thing, and we're all scattered around the state anyway.
True, and plus there's the obligation to go to your partner's family, or your sister has to go to her husband's family or whatever. So
yeah, but I find that, and I know a lot of gay people that do that as well. Like they'll have their own family at Christmas time, their own made-up family, where they spend, you know, Christmas and
you mean their extended friends and that type of thing?
And I think that's a great idea too, because if hopefully my mum's not watching it, but I'd rather do that than spend Christmas dinner with, you know, my mum and dad and all of them. It's just a better time.
But a lot of people do like good works at Christmas rather than get involved in all the sort of greed and consumption and all the rest of it that goes with it, which frankly I quite enjoy. They will perhaps, again, a friend of mine goes down to a homeless shelter, for example, and helps cook and serve Christmas dinner for homeless people. In the gay community, some people, for example, will be working all day at the radio station at Joy, or they will be, I think Positive Attitudes are putting on a Christmas dinner for HIV positive people, for example, and they're looking for volunteers to go and do that. I mean, that's another way of coping with Christmas.
I mean, it's so true, and of course, Christmas Day is one of the only days of the year where everything shuts down too. You can't just go to, you know, to your local restaurant if you want to just do something on your own, have your own time or whatever, because it's filled with lots of families and people doing things. So you're right. Getting back to your research there about suicide, it can be a very difficult time. Christmas is emotional, so it's going to be emotional not just for gay and lesbians as well, but like you say, for other people who are separated from their families for a variety of reasons. So they may have had, you know, drug and alcohol abuse, or, you know, a whole range of reasons that they may be separated too. So it can be a tricky time.
Yeah, because when everyone's stressing togetherness, and you're not, you're isolated, you're on your own.
Yeah, you're going to feel even worse.
It's going to make you feel worse, especially when, of course, we're all encouraged to drink ourselves silly and eat ourselves silly.
Oh yeah, that's the best part about Christmas. Surely, the non-guilt. That's the one non-guilt day.
Have you developed any of your own kind of specifically gay kind of Christmas traditions, Cathy? I mean, Mark, you were talking about taking that house up in Daylesford and going up there with a group of people. Do you have anything specific that you do that like a personal Christmas tradition?
Oh no, do you know, and I don't really, but I think I should now. It sounds like a great idea. I think I'm going to go and invent something. No, but I certainly use the time leading up to Christmas, and I make a pointed effort to see more people. I think there is that expectation, and someone mentioned, the whole the idea of having to meet everyone before Christmas for a drink and that type of thing. But it is a time of year where you kind of do wind down and you do relax a little and go out and see. I would see more of my gay friends, but I also see a lot of my straight friends too. So we'll go and do some, we're going to go camping. That's not particularly gay, is it? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Do Australian families go camping at Christmas?
Well, I'm spending this year at a caravan park for Christmas, so that'll be a bit.
That's fairly
that'll be a
Aussie,
bit
and
Paris
that's fairly
Hilton.
different.
Nice, yeah.
But I mean, politically speaking as well. I mean, politics winds down at Christmas. It becomes purely personal. It becomes, and that kind of shuts us out as well, doesn't it? Because you don't see anything about gay families on television.
In terms of their main imagery, that's true.
They're not there in the sitcoms. We're not there in the news. We're not there. We kind of vanish generally.
Until it's ratings season again,
and then suddenly we come, the clowns come out.
Well, that kind of brings into the whole talking about the idea of gay families and lesbians who undergo IVF or you have a donor sperm and create their own families, or gay men who have surrogate women surrogacy babies, and so they're actually gay families in themselves, not just us going back to our own families. So there's a different thing there as well. I mean, they would have their own traditions and be going between in say if you're the two lesbians who have a donor dad, so that the child would have three lots of grandparents to visit. I mean, what a calamity on Christmas Day.
Yeah, and of course with the two men, you might have four, because you might have the two guys, you might have the surrogate mother, you might have an egg donor.
Goodness me, it's just too many people in the mix. But what a great thing for the kids, really. 3, 4, 5 sets of grandparents have how many presents?
So instead of having your drunken auntie and uncle in the corner, you have your sperm donor's drunken partner over in the corner.
That's it. Taking photos, showing them at school. Oh yeah, that's my sperm donor's father's drunken brother. No, but certainly those kinds of family situations are evolving too, and a lot of them and people who have had children in heterosexual relationships before they met their partner, their same-sex partner, so they've got blended families as well that they need to.
Oh gosh, yes.
There's another. Christmas can be probably very trying, certainly in terms of trying to meet responsibilities and buying presents.
So starting off an idea of a season of jollity, it sounds like a season of stress.
I think you come to Boxing Day and everyone just goes.
Thank God it's over.
TGIB, thank God it's Boxing Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And it's over for us. We hope you enjoy your Christmas, whatever you end up doing, and we will see you again next year on Q Focus.
Merry Christmas.
And welcome back to Studio Q. I'm Alan, and I'm here once again with Mr. Mead. How are you, son?
Hi, I'm good, Alan. How are you?
Good. Not bad. And we're here on the first of our Christmas shows with a special chat to a special guy that we are about to talk to via phone from Thailand. I'm talking of Rob Astbury, who recently wrote the controversial book, The King and I, about his life with Graham Kennedy. Controversial because Hinch stirred up a hornet's nest about his coming out, his life with Graham and his HIV. But he does have his own interesting story to tell.
He does, yeah.
So let's welcome Rob to Studio Q.
Thank you.
Now we'll get the business end of things out of the way first. On the book, The King and I, there was a lot of controversy around it, with Hinch stirring up his hornet's nest and outing you as HIV positive and queer. Can you hear the name Hinch now without bitterness, or have you made some sort of peace with yourself on that?
Well, Alan, I really wasn't perturbed when Darren announced that I was gay, but I certainly wasn't prepared when he declared that Graham may have died of AIDS, and I was stunned when he announced that I was HIV positive, because at that stage only 5 people knew I was HIV, and only one family member, but suddenly because of Darren, it seemed the whole world knew, and without my choosing. But the fact is, it was being outed by Darren in such a very public manner that made me realise that I could be an advocate if you like, for HIV people. And I believe the biggest problem with HIV is ignorance. Sadly, there is a stigma about HIV, and I understand this better than most people now, of course. You know, 10 years ago, if someone had cancer, I wouldn't shake their hand. And today, you know, the stigma towards cancer no longer exists. And before I was confirmed HIV positive, I wouldn't shake the hand of someone who had HIV for fear of catching it. Now I realise just how ridiculous, you know, that is.
Now, you're on record as saying that The King and I was the book that you didn't want to write. Do you still feel that way, or have you mellowed a bit on that now?
Well, the fact is, I'd already written my autobiography before Graham died. And it seems that book is never ever going to be finished because things happen and I've got to keep changing it.
Yeah, you're too young for an autobiography, aren't you?
Told in the context of my life story and my autobiography, To Find Yourself, I felt comfortable writing, I think it was 6 or 7 chapters about my personal and professional experience with Graham. But I didn't feel comfortable about lifting it out. Now, I was contracted for my autobiography, and when Graham passed away, the person I was under contract to came to me and said, "We want you to lift this out and make it a book about Graham." And I said I wouldn't do it. There were threats made, legal and personal threats. And the publisher, Anthony Zammit, has acknowledged that at the press conference. He said that there was a contractual agreement and he was going to make me honour that. So my lawyer said, "Look, to appease the publishers, agree to write the book, but take 20 or 30 years to write it." So when I started, the old journalistic instincts clicked in, and I've got to say, I very quickly realised there was another story to be told, an insight about a brilliant man, goods and bads, and you know, things that made him the person that he is. And I have to say, from people that have read the book, I've not had one bad reaction, and I've had a lot of people contact me.
Do you know if people like his closest friends and confidants, such as Nolene Brown and Tony Lee Sattler, have actually read the book, and if so, what they might have thought about it?
No, I don't know, and I do hope that they have read it. Now, you've read it, and anyone who's read it will understand what I'm saying. I mean, initially, with all the pre-launch hype, which I had nothing to do with, and this is the reaction I'm getting from people who have contacted me, people I've never heard of. They said they were concerned what was going to be in the book when they saw and heard all the pre-launch hype. But once they've read the book, they really enjoyed it. And that's basically what it's all about.
Some readers might have been justified in asking, why did you hang around for so long?
Well, it was sort of, you know, it wasn't as if we were together all the time. During those 20 years, we would see each other off and on. And look, I don't make any bones about the fact that when I first met Graham, I was very ambitious, and I saw that introduction as helping my career. And you know, people ask me, did you love Graham? Well, when you know someone for 20 years, off and on, and they've been a great influence on your life professionally, and you've known them personally, then yeah, of course you love them. Like Bert Newton would love him, like Nolene and Tony would love him, like John Mangos would love him. But I can't say I was actually in love with Graham. But you know, it was a friendship, a relationship that went on for 20 years. Why shouldn't it have gone on for 20 years? My only regret is that when I came to Thailand, I didn't have contact with him.
Overall, I found it quite a sad book. I must admit I got a bit teary at the end with Graham's quote that you can be as lonely in Toorak as you can in Canyon Lee.
Summed Graham up perfectly, didn't it?
Yeah. To me, being gay and kind of recognising the signs in a way, it almost seemed to me as if his self-esteem was maybe through the floor and he was overcompensating. Would you say that was a fair call?
Graham was in control all the time, and I'm not talking about the last 5 years. You see, most people think that Graham's genius was his ability to ad-lib spontaneously. The fact is, most of what Graham did was very carefully rehearsed to appear as if it was ad-lib. And I suspect the reason he went to so much effort was because he had set up such a high standard in his early years. He was afraid of not living up to that reputation.
Yeah.
So as far as self-esteem is concerned, I don't think it was self-esteem. I think it was protecting what he had created.
Do you think that if he hadn't been in the media, things would have been different in terms of his persona? He would have come to terms with his sexuality?
I still think at that period of his life that you just couldn't come out then and say, hey, I'm gay, and there would have been no point. It'd be a different thing now, and it is a different thing now.
Sure.
In a lot of people's minds, but there are still some people who feel that they have to stay in the closet because their careers will be affected if people know that they're gay. You know, the biggest thing about when Darren outed me, it wasn't really outing me because people knew I was gay, but certainly not publicly. He outed me as regards HIV. The biggest problem about coming out is actually doing it. Once you've done it, you think, God, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Yeah, hear to that.
Then you suddenly find out everyone knew anyway.
Yeah, especially Mum and Dad.
So was that the case for you? Did your parents know before you told them?
Yeah, funny thing, we never ever talked about it. No, that's not quite right. Dad never talked about it. When Graham came up to Avoca, to my home, to meet my parents and to watch me play football, there was never any talk about whether we had a relationship. But, you know, thinking back, my parents would have had to be naive to realise that there was more to our friendship and relationship than him being my employer.
Exactly, yeah. So was there a point where it was talked about?
About Graham? As regards Graham or my sexuality?
Well, in general, yeah.
Okay, never ever discussed about Graham. It was never raised by my parents or my family. As regards my sexuality, I had a relationship with a male. My first serious relationship, I would say, where I actually lived with someone. I mean, I didn't live with Graham all the time.
No.
I did when I was working with him most of the time, but with this person, I lived with him and we shared the same bedroom. My mother came to Melbourne to our house, and there were only 2 bedrooms, and in my bedroom there was a double bed. And my mum said, well, where's your friend going to sleep? And I said, with me. Well, she broke down, hysterically cried, and I had to take control, and I said, Mum, stop. I said, if you're going to I love you, but if you're going to make me choose between Bill and you, I'm going to choose Bill. Well, she stopped crying immediately, and it was never raised again. And any companion that I introduced from that point on, up at my home, I made very, very welcome any male companion.
So having previewed some extracts from your forthcoming autobiography, I assume the Bill you're referring to is the one you met in 1970 in the iconic Hotel Australia.
Yeah.
Wow. The way you put that, it was that 1970, it was almost like a light bulb went off in your head and you had this sudden realisation. Was it really just deep denial before that, or you genuinely didn't know? You thought you were straight or bisexual, or what?
I was thinking back, my attitudes were as bad as a lot of Australians are today. I was totally racist and discriminatory towards gay people. I was brought up by my parents. My father came back from the war, and I was taught that anyone with slanty eyes was the enemy.
Yeah.
And it's just ironic that I am now living in Thailand. One of them, has a race of people that are the most polite, most beautiful, friendly, loyal people in the world.
Yeah.
Yet I was led to believe that they were the enemy. And it was much the same with being chapter of my book.
Yeah.
And yes, it was like a bomb going off when I met Bill. I was standing in the bar and I said to the person I was with, and we were there was a lot of focus of attention towards the two of us, and I was enjoying that, and I said, look at all these kuftas. And about 15 minutes later, Bill walked into the bar. I saw him and my heart stopped.
Wow.
And that's how that relationship started, and basically that was the awareness that I needed, that I was gay.
And that's where we'll leave it for Rob this week, but we'll be back with part 2 of our chat with him in our next show. In the meantime, check out his website, www.tofindyourself.com, and we'll see you soon in Studio Q.